We're looking live at Ottawa once again and awaiting a major announcement from the Trudeau government later today, set to unveil $2 billion in extra funding to help make the return to school for millions of Canadian children as safe as possible. CBC News has confirmed Justin Trudeau will announce the funding at 11 o'clock Eastern at a school in North Toronto. The money is going to be split up. All provinces and territories will receive funding based on the numbers of students in their province, and they'll be able to decide what they use the money for. Hiring more staff, upgrading safety protocols, whatever is most pressing in the individual territories. Now, of course, again, keeping an eye on Ottawa, we'll have live coverage of that announcement. We know that some classes have already begun, Yukon, for example. We know that tomorrow, French public schools start in Quebec. Alberta classes resume the week after. Many schools reopening after Labor Day. It's either here or it's very fast approaching. There's still so many questions and so much anxiety and concern on the part of parents wanting to send their kids back to school, but wanting those children to be safe. Some parents looking for alternatives, and we're going to learn about what one of those alternatives is today. Rachel Marmer is with me, the organizer of a Facebook group that's been getting a whole lot of attention in these past few weeks called Learning Pods Canada. She's in Toronto. And Rachel, welcome to our program.
Hi, thanks for having me.
As I was just saying, Rachel, still countless parents considering their options for their children's back to school. So let's get some particulars on all of these. We want to find out what learning pods are. Who are they for?
They are for any parent looking for an alternative for their kids, kids ranging from JK to high school. And it's basically parents finding little cohorts of children to get together with their kids and learn in a small group setting.
And how many kids in a learning pod?
Great question. 4 or 5 is the limit for learning pods.
Okay,
right now.
So a cohort of 4 or 5, and then where do they go? This is not distance or remote learning. Where do they actually go?
Well, there are 2 main streams of learning pods. One is distance learning.
Okay.
A lot of families are opting to do distance learning and learn at home, but parents still want their kids to have a little bit of social interaction and not just be on the screen all day. So doing distance learning in a small group setting allows for kids to have a little bit of social interaction, as well as parents can opt to bring in a facilitator to help with the execution of the day with the children if the parents themselves, for whatever reason, can't do it if they need to be at work, which is the case for most parents, many parents.
So this is different from homeschooling in that somebody else may do as you said, the facilitating. Who usually does the teaching?
Well, there is no usually, because this is new for everybody. You can hire, it's really up to people's comfort, but there's amazing tutoring agencies out there. There's people that are just graduating from teachers college. There's retired teachers, there's students. So there's an astronomical amount of ways to get creative to find the right facilitator to oversee a distance learning pod. That's just one stream though. De-enrolling in school at home is another stream where there is no curriculum from the school board involved, and parents do need to get creative to find a curriculum and find a facilitator that could deliver that curriculum. That gets a little bit more expensive, let's say.
Okay, that leads to the question of cost. How much does joining a learning pod cost, Rachel?
Well, working with me at Learning Pods costs nothing. My goal is to help people completely free of charge. A facilitator could be, $20 to $45 an hour, depending on their experience. And then, of course, that would be split up between the 4 or 5 families.
So it ranges.
You could be looking anywhere between $5 to $7 an hour per child.
All right. So if I got this right, it's parents who don't want to send their kids to class, don't think it's safe maybe just yet, but don't want the sort of the distance or remote learning that the schools are offering. So a different option, more personalized, small groups, either that they are teaching or bringing in someone to facilitate their child's learning. And in some cases, there's a cost. Tell me about where you come in, because as you said, the Learning Pods Canada, and you're organizing that. What's your role become in all of this?
Well, I'm definitely in the trenches with everyone because I'm a mom of 4 trying to figure out my pods with my kids. And So I'm definitely in it with everybody, figuring out all the legislation, all the rules, all the minutia that make it work or make it not work. So my role, I suppose, is just really trying to help navigate the terrain, what this all means and how we can make it all work, and trying to find cohesion and systems to put in place to make this really seamless and easy for parents from start to finish.
So giving them information and maybe matching them as well. I know that's a role that you do.
Absolutely, matching them. Yeah.
Give me,
sure,
this is really interesting. People are going to be, I think, surprised to hear the level of interest in this. You've just started this a few weeks ago. How many people in your Facebook group now?
So yesterday we reached over 10,000, so that was exciting. And that's a mix of people all over Canada, parents, teachers, a lot of different people. So it's very, very exciting. 10,000 people are checking out learning pods and what does it mean and how could it work for their families, or can it work for their families? And I hope to try and make it work for everybody that wants to do it. That's really my goal.
What does that level of interest tell you, Rachel?
Well, I'm not surprised as a parent myself, knowing how I feel. I don't think I'm overly unique as a mom. I think I'm, on par with a lot of other parents. So I think me feeling this way, I'm not overly surprised that millions of people feel the same way, because I'm not unique. And, with the back to school plans being as they are, I'm even more not surprised, because parents are feeling it's a little bit inadequate. We have a lot of work to make up for in getting, a good, safe return in order. So this is also a way for people to bide their time, right? And maybe do this, until things settle, as an option as well. Some people are setting it up as a contingency plan down the line should things escalate and, they need to revert back to this. It's a great contingency plan to keep the kids social throughout whatever may come in the future.
It's interesting, just the sort of inventiveness that parents are having to, to exhibit, to try to deal with, is, as you said, a situation that we never have had to face before. There are people talking about learning pods. I'm happy to talk about them, explain them a little bit with you too. But people who have heard about them in these last couple of weeks have raised some criticisms and concerns that in some quarters this could promote inequities, Rachel, and you've probably heard this, between those who can afford and access these alternative arrangements and then parents who cannot access this kind of thing for their children. So promoting inequities and sort of eroding the very core principles of a public education. How do you answer those concerns?
Well, I say thank you for asking that, because it's really important to bring light to these issues. I say I really want to open a charity so that anybody who feels that way can please open their wallets and donate to Learning Pods and help one of these families get a Learning Pod. And so I always say, mobilize, do something. Don't stand around and point fingers and say that doesn't look fair. Stand up and help make a change that will make a difference, and get involved. Either donate your time, donate your money, figure out a way to help make a difference so that we're not widening the gap. But definitely do something. Don't just play armchair quarterback and criticize the people that are trying to make a difference. And like I said, my dream is to open a charity, and every parent that joins and walks in, I say, if you can help sponsor another family, please keep that top of mind. But it's unaffordable. It's not fair to put that on all families. So I say, anyone out there who's listening that cares about this cause and wants to help, feels it's unfair, then please step up and help make it a little more fair. That would be lovely.
Okay, that's what you're doing.
That's what I say.
Matching people in your Facebook group. And may I assume that that's what you kind of reference this? This is where your children, you have 4, this is what they're going to be doing this fall?
Yes, this is what we're going to be doing. And, again, we're still sorting out the details like everybody else. So I don't have all the answers. But I'm down here with everyone trying to figure it out, and I have full faith that my kids will be in an excellent pod this year.
Nobody seems to have all the answers, Rachel. I think, as you quite rightly put your finger on this, it's a whole new vocabulary now to pod and learning pods. We're all learning so much. Listen, thank you very much for explaining all of this, what you're doing and how these work. I appreciate it, Rachel.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Facebook group.
Have a great day.
For Learning Pods Canada.